So lesson 19. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. The idea for today is obviously the reason why your seeing does not affect you alone. You will notice that at times the ideas related to thinking precede those related to perceiving, while at other times the order is reversed. The reason is that the order does not matter. Thinking and its results are really simultaneous, for cause and effect are never separate. Thinking and its results are really simultaneous, for cause and effect are never separate. Today we are again emphasizing the fact that minds are joined. This is rarely a wholly welcome idea at first, since it seems to carry with it an enormous sense of responsibility and may even be regarded as an invasion of privacy. Yet it is a fact that there are no private thoughts. Despite your initial resistance to this idea, you will yet understand that it must be true if salvation is possible at all. And salvation must be possible because it is the will of God. The minute or so of mind searching which today's exercise requires is to be undertaken with eyes closed. The idea for today is to be repeated first, and then the mind should be carefully searched for the thoughts it contains at that time. As you consider each one, name it in terms of the central person or theme it contains, and holding it in your mind as you do so, say, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of this thought about, fill in the blank. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of this thought about blank. The requirement of as much indiscriminateness as possible in selecting subjects for the practice periods should be quite familiar to you by now, and will no longer be repeated each day, although it will occasionally be included as a reminder. Do not forget, however, that a random selection of subjects for all practice periods remains essential throughout. Lack of order in this connection will ultimately make the recognition of lack of order in miracles meaningful to you. Apart from the as-needed application of today's idea, at least 3 practice periods are required, shortening the length of time involved if necessary. Do not attempt more than 4. Lesson 19. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. So we can take a minute and do this lesson. Have our eyes closed and just look at our thoughts. And as we identify a thought, we use the line, I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of this thought about, and we name what we're thinking about to ourselves inside. And when we've identified a few thoughts like that, when we have taken a minute or so, we can drop the exercise and just go into meditation. feel that Jesus wants to teach us about vision, or help us open up to vision, to see truly. There's all those lessons about thoughts and seeing, all about retranslating our perception or undoing the way we perceive. Sometimes it's fun to use the Course as an oracle, and I just opened it up. And it opened to the chapter 20, the vision of holiness. And the gift of lilies. It's part 2, and this one starts with talking about the things we put on the body to make the body better in some way. He says we hate the body, and so we try to improve it a little bit by putting some trinkets on it. So that's where I opened it today. And he talks about the body's eyes. Like we judge with the body's eyes what we see, and we think it's good or bad, or we can make it better. But he's saying you can't make something better that isn't real. So it's a reminder just that we don't need to try to improve the false self in a way of looking better. He's saying gifts are not made through bodies if they're truly given and received. So the mind. I think it's a nice, gentle reminder for us all to relax from trying to improve our own bodies and the way we look. There's so much more. There's something so much more vast than bodies. Yeah, we usually sit down together like this, do the meditation, and then we invite for sharing to see if there is something that feels like needs to go on the altar, something we want to expose or release, something that is like a block to peace. Maybe the meditation has already been clearing everything, but if not, this is a nice time to just join together with. There is a deep belief in the mind, in everybody's mind here in the world, that we can have private thoughts. That my thoughts are my thoughts. You don't know them. Mm-hmm. You have your private thoughts. I don't know them. That's a very strong belief. Like when you believe in bodies, when you perceive bodies. And Jesus says, no, that's impossible. There are no private thoughts. There is one mind.
Yes,
and this mind is thinking, it is thought. And then there is the tiny mad idea that made you believe that you can be a separate individual that can think private thoughts.
But even then, those thoughts are everywhere. They are showing you the universe. The private mind, the private thoughts show you the whole universe, the way you perceive it. And it is off. It's completely off. It's not the truth. Like, that's what Jesus means, that there are no private thoughts. They are reflected in everything. And the mind is so powerful that when you change your mind and think with Christ, and think with the Holy Spirit, the whole universe shifts. You have a whole new perception. And that's the step into a higher experience, that there is only one mind. Yeah. And so then that's why we emphasize this expression and sharing of private thoughts, or of thoughts that seem to come from the private mind, thoughts we're ashamed of, thoughts that are difficult, feelings or beliefs, because then we can release, this belief in the private mind. So, that's the point. Yeah. He's saying there are no private thoughts, and yet that's the only thoughts of which you are aware. That's what Jesus says. That's interesting. It must mean that we're dreaming. That there is a dream. And that's why we read recently about how shall the teacher of God spend his day. And he says that there is a thought you should remember throughout the day. It's a thought of limitless release and of
pure
joy and limitless release. Yeah. Because all things are freed within that thought. It's like a thought of God. That's the thought we share. Like, that's the only thought that can be shared. Like, so all those private thoughts that Jesus says, that's the only thoughts you're aware of, they are the unreal thoughts. They are the thoughts to be transcended or handed over to Holy Spirit. They're meaningless. That's why all those early lessons, my meaningless thoughts, are showing me a meaningless world. That's why he's helping us on a deep, deep level, even unconscious level, because he's saying you don't need to understand the lessons, you just need to do them. So it's working on an unconscious level. It's working on a very deep level in the mind when we invite this, when we invite Spirit, when we do this practice. Yeah.